Hey everyone, welcome back to Javo's Garage. Today we're going to be doing some crazy work because we're taking on the reconditioning of this 2006 Chrysler Town and Country LX that you saw me pick up in the previous video. Now we've already gone through it, we know what we got to do mechanically to it, but before we get onto the mechanical stuff, I want to get to the detailing so that way the interior has a chance to dry out while I do the mechanical, and then when I'm done with the mechanical, the interior will be dry and we can put it all back in. Now we're going to go crazy today, and hopefully I'll be able to help you. Maybe part of this video will help you if you're trying to do something, or the whole thing if you want to make your minivan for your family look like brand new again. Now what we're going to end up doing is we're actually going to pull the entire interior out of this van today. We're going to get all the seats out, we're going to get the side panels out, we're going to get the carpet out, everything's going to be out of this thing. You're going to see wires and metal today when we're all done with this. And then once we get it out, we're able to pressure wash it, we're able to hang it all out in the sun, let it dry for a few days while we do the mechanical, and then we'll put it all back together. And I'm going to show you how to do that step by step. So if you want to see a crazy detail project, let's get going. So the first thing you got to do to get your front seats out of your van is to get it up on ramps, as you see I have here, and I'm going to show you how to do that now. Now that you have your van up on the ramps, next what you'll do is you'll go inside of the car, and you need to lower down your spare tire. And you access your spare tire right here in between your driver and passenger seat. You'll pull this cap out, and you'll see this right in here. You'll have to loosen that. Now there's a tool for that that's included in your jack and spare tire kit in the back. So let's walk around to the back. And if we come back in here, it's located in here. So if you'll take this, lift up that little handle, pop that out, you'll usually have a little bag that looks like this. See if I can't get it out without having to remove the jack. There we go. Inside of here, and inside of this are all the parts you need to be able to lower that down. So all right, so the two pieces go together. The plastic handle goes in the top, so this is just a little up closer. See how that goes. They interlock. It's got that little push lock in there, retainer, and that in there is what goes on that nut or that post that's up in between the seats. So now we're back up front. You have that post in there. You just take your tool, push it down in there, and then you're done. Now we just start turning this counterclockwise, as you see here, and it will lower down our tire. Now that you have your spare tire down, you'll need to get this little cover plate off that sits up on the bottom of the car, because behind this you're going to have two nuts. You're going to have one, actually you'll just have one, but it's located right in here that you'll have to get access to get your seats out. To get this down, you have a little retaining clip here. There's one directly on the opposite side, same location, and then you have another one that's located right here. And so basically I'm going to go get my little pry bar. We pop these three out, and then this whole plate comes down, and we'll have full access to that nut to get the seats out. So these here are two tools you're going to see me using a lot in this video. This here is a door panel removal tool that I got from Lyle, and funny enough, this here is considered a staple removal tool that I found at Walmart, and I found it just by accident. You can pick these up, I think they were like $2, so you may not want to spend the money to get the Lyle panel removal tool. I think it was like $25, but you could certainly swing by your local Walmart and get one of these for a couple bucks, and it'll do a good job for you as well. So what we need to do now is this here will just go up underneath the sides like so, and then we'll just start to pry it down, and there it goes, and it pops out just like that. So we're going to do that with the other two and get this plate out of the way. Okay, so we got our heat shield off. Now we can take the nuts off that hold the seats in. So there's 4 bolts. You'll see there's one there. If you'll move directly towards the outside of the vehicle, right up in between, you'll see there's one right there. And then if you'll go down from that and keep going down, right up inside this hole right here, you'll find another nut. And now if you'll move back towards the inside of the vehicle again, into this hole right here, you'll find another nut in there. And those 4 are what you need to take out to get the seat out. Now that we had the 4 nuts taken off the bottom of the seats down there, I'll put those in my little parts tray that I'll keep in here and keep all my parts in there. That way I don't lose anything. We're ready to take the seat out. Now the best thing to do is to move the seat to where it's about in the middle position, like so. And then what I'll do is I'll reach around here like so, there we go. And I'll just lift up on it and tilt it back right where it's at. And now we need to get underneath and unplug the electrical for the seat, but now it's out and in place. Here are the electrical connections. Now on these, especially with Chryslers, you see they have these retaining clips, and all you'll do is you kind of, see if I can do it with my hand out of the way. Probably not, because I usually pull on them, but you'll pull them backwards like that one. I don't know if you saw that one click with my hand out of the way, just like that. And then once you pull that backwards, all you'll do is just press on this little end tab here and give it a pull. Oh, I got my hand stuck in the wire there. And there you go, it comes right out. So now we'll move on to the top one, and I may need to get my little pry bar. This is normally a two-handed job. Now, don't be alarmed if that happens. That's very common. The piece is not broken. It's okay. It just pops out when you go to do it. You'll set it back in there. Once you do that, you'll just press on that little tab there in the middle, and that pulls out. So once that's out, we can take our little retaining tab, our little red tab, and it just pushes right back in like that. So if that happens to you, don't be concerned. That happens all the time. Now your electrical is disconnected. Let's get the seat out of here. Now we're on the passenger side. So you'll have 4 nuts naturally take out over here. Let me show you where those are at. We're gonna start with the front one. Let me get past this, and there's your front one. Okay, now once again, this one here is to the inside. So now if you'll just move directly to the outside from that, there is your second one. And now what we're gonna do is, if you'll start looking down the vehicle, and my exhaust is in the way, so I'm gonna move to the inside, but you'll kind of see that hole a little bit right there. But there's that other hole. So inside of there is the 3rd nut. And now if you'll move back towards the inside from there, right there is the 4th one. So basically you'll have to take those 4 out and then pull out your passenger seat, and we'll have our front seats out. So now that we've gotten our front seats taken out, well, now what we need to do is get our Stow-n-go seats out. Now I already have them folded up down here on the floor. In order to get your Stow-n-go seats out, you're gonna have to remove these covers. There's 2 of them, one here and here, and then there's a framework that goes around the outside. That has to come out, and then your Stow-n-go seats can come out. To remove these covers, what you want to do is just lift up your Stow-n-go cover here, and you'll notice that there's 4 nuts. There's 2 brackets, 2 nuts on each bracket. There's 2 here and 2 here. They're a 10mm. What you want to do is take those out and then set these both off to the side and move on to the next step. So here's a quick tip. As you take these nuts off to do these, and throughout this entire project, always the smart thing to do, a best practice that I always use, is when you can, take those nuts and set them back on the posts. You have 2 things that happen with that. Now when we clean it, it'll clean off all the hardware, and when we go to reassemble it, I don't have to look around and wonder where I set those things or where they fell or what part goes where. I'll know exactly, because they're where I need them to be when I go to reassemble. So now that we have our panels off, the next thing you want to take off is this piece that's located here in the middle, because there's also 2 more nuts that are under here. There are also nuts located underneath these little access panels that you'll see around here, and we'll have to get those off. Let's move over here. Now I have my pry bar again. It has retaining clips in here and then along the back. So what I'll do is I'll start up in here, and I'm just gently gonna pry up on this, just like that. And now I'm gonna move around to the back side. Same principle as well. Now over here to this edge, and you'll hear it start to come out. You'll just take your time. Don't force these or they will break. And just like that, we have that out. Once you have that out, you have these little pieces here that come and slide in depending on if your seats are folded or up. And if you look real close, there'll be some retaining tabs on both sides, and all you have to do is just push those in with a screwdriver and lift up, and the entire thing will come right out. Now, one of the things you'll need to keep track of is how these go back together, because they actually are designed to slide. And so what happens is you'll have this one here on the bottom, and it has this little tab like that. That one goes on the bottom and here, and basically what happens is it rides inside it rides inside this groove right here. So as you can see, when it sits in there, that little tab rides inside of there. Okay, trying to look into the camera and show you. And then this one will sit on top like so. So this here is an up close of these little covers that have a nut behind them that you're gonna have to take off this framework around here. And I would love to lie to you and tell you I've never broken one of these, but I've broke many of these things over the years. But I've learned how to do them what I find to be the best way and give me the less hassle. So if you, hopefully you can catch it with the camera, but you'll see on this side and this side there's like a little tiny groove in there. And what that allows you to do is take a small screwdriver like you'll see I have here, and I'll just take it and you'll put it down inside of there as far as you can, and then you'll just kind of lightly start to pry up. And then what I do when it starts to pop up like you see it is there, is I'll move over here to this side, just to the other side of the tab. Oh, there it goes. So now we need to remove these nuts that hold down this framework all the way around. There are 14 of them throughout the entire thing, and oddly enough, a 10 millimeter socket doesn't fit these. What I have found that actually works and does a good job, and I don't know, maybe they got a good deal over there at Chrysler for them or something, can't tell you, but anyway, is a 7/16. So you'll use a 7/16 socket and take all those out. When you're done, you'll lift it up and gently take it out. Try not to twist it because you can crack the frame, at least the plastic part of it up in here. It's real common for them to get small cracks up in the front just from kids stepping on them or seats getting moved on them and whatnot. So just be careful taking it out. So 14 nuts, take that out, lift it up and get it out of your way. So now you're ready to remove your Stow-n-go seats. Each seat is held in with 3 nuts that are resting on a post through the base, and the seats are folded, and if you look, there's one directly in the middle, and then there'll be one on each side. Each one of those is a 15 millimeter, and I'm going to use my cordless impact here, but you'll take those out, stand it up, and then what I found easiest is tilt the seat outward. Let me show you how to do that. Having one of these makes the job go much faster and easier, by the way. So now that we have that done, I'll take it by the handle. And now you're just gonna have it where it's like in the standing position. Start tilting it back. And then I'll just put one hand on here. And there you go, your seat's out. I wanted to give you a better up close shot of those nuts I was talking about. So here's one. And then if you go right here, here's number 2. And there's number 3. So you'll take each of those nuts off, and then as you saw, just tilt the seat up and then pull it right back out. The seats are out, so now we just want to take out these 2 liners. There's 2 liners inside of there, but the only thing left holding those in place, and by the way, there's like a little Velcro strip that goes right in between the 2 of them in there. Other than that, if you look here on the sides, you'll see some plastic nuts. There's one located right here, and if you'll come down, there's one located right there, and there's 2 on the other side as well. So all you have to do is take those 2 nuts out, and then you can go ahead and remove those liners, and you can wash those and get that cleaned up too. So now we're ready to take out our 3rd row seat here. So what you're going to need is your 15 socket that you used for your Stow-n-go seats. You're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. In my case, I have my driver here, and that's going to be about it. And what you're going to end up doing is once the seats are laid down, you'll take this little cover here and fold it back. And when you do, Here's one of your Phillips that you're going to need to take out, and then you have a bolt here and a bolt here that you'll need to take out. And when we're done, we'll fold them up, and then we'll get down below inside of here in the storage area, and we'll take this plastic piece off, and then you'll find 2 more bolts down below there, and then you'll pop your seat out. Just grab it right here. Slide that one forward. Same thing with this one. And let me move around to the back side and we'll get that part done. On the back side here, there are 4 of those little plastic nuts like we took out from the liners for the Stow-n-go, and there's one located in each of these. They're really easy to strip out, so I have a 7/16 socket on here, and I just take them out by hand. Once you have that done, all you'll do is just slide this piece, comes right out like so. I'm going to set that off to the side. And now you have access to the other 4 bolts that are back in here, and those are 15 once again, so we'll remove those. What I've learned over time, it's easier to take these seats out when the backs are in the upright position. So right now, in this case, what we're going to want to do is pull on that number 1 latch so it releases the back side of the seat, and then stand it up. Then what I've learned is just tilt it back, grab it by this one here, and lift, and there you go. Same principle for this side over here. Pull on your number 1 strap so it releases the back side of the seat. And sometimes the whole thing will start to go, so you may have to, man, it locked on me again. There we go. So just like that, and then I'll tilt it back, and then just pull it. And like that, we have our other 3rd row seat is now also removed, and I can set it off to the side. So now if you're following my procedure, this here is exactly what the inside of your van should look like right now, with all of the seats removed. So now we're down to the point where we need to start taking out some of the base panels, some of the side panels, and the bottom of our center console up there. And once we're done with that, we're able to remove the carpet. We're almost there. To begin the side panels, one of the first things we're going to do is remove this panel and this panel right here. But in order to be able to get those out, we have to undo the seat belts where they connect up top, because those also help secure these in place. So let's move inside and let me show you how to do that. So now we're on the right rear part of the vehicle, and so this here's your passenger side. We want to get this whole panel out, but one of the things that's holding it in is this seat belt. And so this is going to be, behind this is going to be a bolt, and that's a 14mm, but you kind of have to get this cover back to be able to get to it. And what I found easiest is, once again, my little pry bar through my door panel tool, and I will work that, and I'm going to try and stay out of your way, but I'll work that up in there, and then just kind of start to pry that back like so. And then once it's back, I'll kind of just peel it. Hopefully you can see that like that. And now you have access to that 14mm up in there. And there you go, it comes out. And so there's the bolt right there. And we're gonna do the same process here over on the driver's side. And that one is located right here. Since we're already in here, let's go ahead and finish, because we have to also remove the bottom part of our seat belts on both sides to be able to get these side panels off. So once again, pretty easy process. So you'll take this cover and it just kind of pulls out, and then lift it up. You don't want to tear it because it should stay on there. It kind of hoops around it. And then you have a nut down here. And oddly enough, this uses a 13/16 just like the nuts for the seats do. So I'll go ahead and put that on my ratchet. And these are not tight at all. And so I'll just take this. And on that, our seat belts are disconnected. Now we can get back to the back again, and let's start pulling these panels out. So it's easy to get these panels out. The first thing you want to do is remove this bottom plate here, because it sits on top of those. And what I'll do is I'll take, once again, I have my little door panel tool, and I will slide it up in there and just kind of lift up, and you'll kind of hear it pop. And I'll go over here a little bit, lift up again, and I'll just slowly work my way down this. And then it lifts up and out and it slides in. It has these little tabs right here, and those interlock on these sides. So we have that out. Since I'm over here on this side, let's start with this one. What'll help make your job easier is take your weather trim here, pull it back out of the way a bit, and when you do, you're going to look down inside of there and you're going to be able to see some little trim panel connectors or trees that actually hold these panels in place. And what I'll do is I'll take my panel tool and I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'll put it around the base of them and then just push out. And once I get this out, I'm going to show you what they look like. But once again, I'm going to put it around the base of that connector and pull it out. Somebody's had this out before and they bent that one, so we'll be able to fix it. Once we have that to there, we're going to stop, and once again, I kind of forgot, I got ahead of myself. You also have another panel here up on top that covers those. Same principle again. I'm just going to lift this trim up a bit, get my pry bar down in there, and just kind of push gently down, and I'm going to work it along there and just start to loosen that piece out just like that. Same principle again with this one. It's got like these tabs on the ends and those interlock. So I'm going to just set this right here. One of my neighbors driving by. So now that we have that to there, what you can do is you'll just kind of pull down there so that comes loose, and you'll see how we're coming out here. And as it comes out, what you're going to want to do is kind of twist it like this. You'll see how I'm pulling the bottom out, and then it will pop out. And then these here are those little trees I was telling you about. Maybe we can get it up closer. There we go. See these? But you can see where I said somebody's had this out before, and that one was completely bent. So we will straighten that back out, so when it goes back into place, we'll make sure it's done correctly. So there's our first ones out. Now let's move over to the other side. Just for right now, I'm going to lean that right there, and I'm going to go ahead so I don't forget, and I'm just going to put my weather stripping back on, because we'll take it back off again when we go ahead and put this panel back in. But for right now, I just want it to sit back in place. You just keep twisting it, and you'll see it's got these little tabs here that actually interlock with the front one. So that's why I said it just kind of moves in place like this. So you'll want these tabs to interlock. So now that we have this one out, you can see this one here, it's got this one here, but it's missing these two. And probably what happened was at some point there's a blend door motor back here or a blower motor resistor, and they go out quite frequently on these vans, and you have to take these out to get to it. And I'll be willing to bet that somebody did that, and when they did, they just didn't do a good job putting it back together. So we'll fix those, and those will all be replaced. So we have those out. Now let's move on to these front side panels. Now we're on the left hand side. This here is the rear panel, and we want to get that taken out. So the first thing you're going to do is there's 3 screws right here, and you're going to be taking out a lot of screws right now, so now's a good time to bring your parts tray back so that you have it. You could go ahead and also remove this if you want. I took the jack out earlier, so we're all free there. Now what you have to do, and I'm going to move my seat belt here off to the side a bit, is behind this panel right here are a bunch of screws that actually hold this in place. So what we have to do is get this panel off, and the best thing for that's going to be my small pry bar. And what I'm going to do, let me move in a little closer, is I always start down towards the bottom, and I'll just kind of work it in there and start to pry that out a bit. And then I'll just work my way up, and you'll start to hear it pop here at some point. There we go. And you'll just take your time with these. You know, you don't need to force these things, because then that's when you break stuff. So we're not looking to break stuff, we're just looking to get it out. And especially in the wintertime, by the way, if you're doing this in the wintertime and it's cold outside, turn the heat on inside your van and let it get warmed up, because these parts will be really brittle. I've done this before when it's been cold out, and I've broken a lot of parts that normally I wouldn't. Anyway, we'll just keep moving, and there we go. So here's this panel. You'll see it's got these little clips in through here. So we got that taken off, and I'm just going to set it out to the side. Now if you look here, we have screws here, 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 and here. And those hold this panel in place. So now what we'll do is we'll remove those. So now that we have that in place, what we can start to do is begin to pull this panel out a little bit. And right here, there is another one of these retaining clips that's holding it in. So if you want to, so you don't break anything, what you can do is put your little clip inside it, or your little pry bar, and just pop that out like that. And once you do, this will start to come out. And if you look up here, your seatbelt's still stuck, and hopefully I can get some light. Maybe I can shine some additional light and you can see it. But right in here is where your seatbelt goes through this panel, and you're going to see a little slit in there. And basically all you do is just feed your seatbelt through that little slit, and now it will go up through the top part, just like that. Now that you have that part done, you'll just kind of pull forward on the front part, and it'll pop right out. And now we need to disconnect our seatbelt over here on the bottom, and then we'll be able to take it out through here as well. And we also have to disconnect it up here. And how you'll do that, and hopefully, do you get a, yeah, you kind of get a view. So what you'll do is just grab it on the sides and pull outwards, and there's a cap, and underneath there is a bolt for that seat belt. And that, once again, falls in line with what we did before down here. It's a 13/16. Like so. And then what I'll always do, because you do have different lengths of these, but it just makes it easier, is I'll put the bolt back in the seatbelt into the latch there, and then I'll just put the cover back on, so that way it stays in place and I know it's there. But down here on the floor, you have another one of these covers. You'll peel it back, and down there's your other bolts. Have that out. Now our seatbelt is disconnected, and all we got to do is run it in through here, like so, and this panel's disconnected. Now up here on the front side over here, you're going to have a power outlet, so you'll have to reach in behind there and disconnect that, and once you do, then this whole panel comes out. Let me try and provide you a little bit better up close just so you understand. So this here is where that back seat belt goes through, and if you can see, it's got a little slot. Hopefully my finger's not in the way, where that seat belt slides through. And up here on the front, this here is where your other seat belt was, whoop, kind of flimsy, was coming through. So what you'll do is just work it around this side, and then it goes through this hole here. And then up here, this here is your additional power, or your other outlet. And then naturally on the back side, right here, is where you have the plug for it. So you'll just undo that plug. But once you do that, now you have this panel free. So now we're on the right hand side or passenger side, and we're getting ready to take this panel off. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to start with removing this seatbelt fastener down here, and then there's one up top here. And so for the bottom, all you'll do once again is you'll just kind of take that little rubber cover and slide it up. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll keep the bolt in there so I can keep track of what they are. And I'll just take this cover back down, slide it over the top, and keep it on there. That way the bolt doesn't come out, and I know exactly which bolt goes back in that place. So this is the top part of that seat belt. And this here's the cover I was saying. I just grab it on the side, pop it up like so, and then loosen the bolt, leave the bolt in place when I'm done, and just snap that cover. The next thing we want to do is very similar to the other side. We actually have 3 screws. We have one here, and one up here. Now that we have those out, we have the same principle over here as we did on the other side, and that is we got to remove this panel right here to get to the screws behind it. Yeah, it's missing one screw right here, so I will put big money somebody had to take this out to get the blower motor resistor done, and just didn't get all the parts in. So now we're completely disconnected. We should be able to start to remove this, and we'll just kind of pull it out a bit. And up top here, once again, is another little slot. Hopefully you can see that for your seat belt. So I'll just lift it up a bit and then slide my seat belt through it. Move it behind. So now our seat belt isn't interfering with anything. And now I'm gonna reach inside of here and just pull forward a little bit on it, and you'll hear it kind of pop. That retaining clip is now free in the front. And like that, we're done. And what I can do now, same principle as last time, I can take my seat belt and run it through that little slot they have in there. Feed that through the panel. And now I'll continue to just kind of pull it down and out. Like so. And there we go. So now that everything's out of the way, we're ready to remove the carpet from the actual very back of the van. I'm only going to use two tools for this. I have my door panel trim tool, and then I have this tool here which is designed to actually remove these little trees. This is another door panel tool, and this thing works great. Now you'll have three of them located in here. This van is missing one, so we'll replace it. There's one that's here, that one's missing. You have one that's located here and one back over in here. Once you do that, this carpet just pops right out. So let me set this pair down here. So I'll just take my tool here, lift up, you'll see that pops out, and I'll set that there. Now for this side over here, I'm going to take this tool, and it just kind of slides down in there. Whoa, and it goes flying out. So what this does is it'll pry down in there, and then when you lift up, it just well, better way is it pulls it up like that. So now that we have those out of the way, it does kind of hang over a bit on where your seat belt's fastened on the bottom, so all you'll do is just pull that little loop off. You'll start to work it. It's not uncommon every now and then for it to stick a little bit. Maybe something got spilled back there. Uh-oh, looks like our light's about to go dead. Good thing we're just done here. So just like that, we have the carpet out of the very back in the cargo area. Let's keep making progress. So now we're going to take this trim panel out right here just so we can clean it, and then we'll put it back in. These are really easy to take out. You have one screw located right here, and you'll take that out, and then what you'll do is you'll just start to pull it out, and then there's one more retaining clip that's up top right in here. And what I'll do is I'll try and get my hand inside of there like so, and then I'll just pull back on it, and sometimes it comes out with the panel and sometimes it stays inside the body, and you'll just kind of pull gently on it. Don't need to go crazy. And that one, and it stayed in there, so it's right there. Now here's the trick. All you do is take them when they stick in there like that, take them and twist them 90 degrees, and then they'll come out. And that's what that little trim piece looks like. And it goes on right here. So all you do is just easily, hopefully you can see that, is just take it and you'll push it back on there. Sorry, I can't do it with my arms fully extended. So it's nice and tight back on there, and then you have your little clip back on. So now we have those off. You're going to do the same thing over on the other side. I'm not going to video that. You get the point. Now let's get this door seal out for our sliding door. This is pretty easy to do. You have some clips along in here that hold it down, and then here on the front it's kind of curved, if you will, so it kind of latches on and it holds on to this. So what I'll do, once again, my door panel removal tool, I'll just get in up underneath it, and I'll just start on one side. Doesn't matter which side you start on. And as you'll see, it kind of bends a bit, and right here it stops bending. Well, that tells me that that is where my clip is. So what I'll do is then move my trim panel tool to where it's kind of sticking and push it up to where I can feel it hitting it, and then I'll just start prying upward, and you hear it pop. And I'll do the same thing again, and I have another one right here, and again, like so. Now that we've done that, you'll kind of pull forward on it or twist it out, if you will, and then just start lifting up. Looks like we have one stuck there, and there we go. And I don't know if you can see that from there, but these here are your little clips that will grab around and get onto this, and then these here are your retainers along the way. So now that we have that out, you'll need to do that over on the other side. Once again, I'm not going to video that. If you did this one, you can do that one. So what we're doing is we're working our way to get to the point where we can remove these trim pieces on here. And once we do that, we're pretty much almost ready to get all the carpet out of here. But before we do, your door seal plate that's up here in the front and your kick panel here need to come out, because your door seal plate goes over this trim piece here, and it also goes over your kick panel. So first we need to take out this trim piece. These door seal plates are the same principles we had when we did the sliding doors. I'm going to take my pry bar tool here, and I'm going to put it in on the carpet side like so, and I'm just going to lift up just gently. You'll kind of hear it pop as it goes along, and you'll just work your way down it. Once you get it up so far, it kind of interlocks with the side pieces, so the easier thing to do is lift it up in the middle and then kind of pull in on the edges like so, and then you can just slide it out on the other side like so. So you'll see these here are where it connects into the bottom, and then these little tabs that you hopefully you can see right there, those interlock with these other two pieces. So I'm going to just set that one right there. Now we're here to our kick panel right in here, and with that basically you're just going to pull it forward. So I'm just going to reach around back behind here and kind of grab it and pull the top out, and then pull the bottom, and it comes right out. Those two are really easy. So let's tackle these trim pieces here for the driver's side pillar. Now if you'll pull your seatbelt off to the side, you're going to see a little panel right here. I'm going to just use my pry bar. You could use a straight screwdriver if you wanted to, and I'm just going to reach in there and pop the top out that way. Once you do, just lift up and it comes out. Okay? So we have that out of the way. The next thing we want to do is, what's going to happen is you're going to have to undo the bottom, pop it out, and then the seatbelt itself goes around through it so we can get this out of the way. So what we're going to want to do is disconnect our seatbelt up top here. Now because I need to feed this through some funny things in here for just right now, I'm going to take the bolt out and set it out to the side, because I don't want there to be any length, if you will, added onto it. So now you'll see we have this part all done. Now the bottom of the seatbelt comes back through, and it goes through this side of your pillar trim piece, and it actually bolts in about right in here. If you have the power sliding door options, naturally you're going to have your button right in here. You can do that one of two ways. You can pop this off and then disconnect your electrical. What I normally do with that is I'll take just a small straight screwdriver on the top side of the button, put it in behind the material, and just kind of pop it out. And then once the top starts to come out, you can just pull it out and then disconnect your electrical, and then that way that's done for your button. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to take my weather stripping and just pull it out a bit. Now on this side it's not so much important, but on this side it goes over your weather stripping, so you don't have to do it as well. So how this works is you'll want to take it, and from the driver's side, or the front of the driver's side here, shall we say, and you'll just want to start prying it outward like so, because it just hangs over on the outside of this, just like that. And you'll start to hear it come loose, and you're just going to work it, and you see how now it's starting to come out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pry bar, my bigger one, and if you'll look down inside of here, right down in here towards the bottom, it has a retaining clip, and I'm just going to take this, and what I'll do is I'll put it in and then I twist it so that it kind of pushes out on it so I don't break anything. And now that I've done that, this part's clear, and I can just start to work it out. And I'm going to need to move it off to the side, because once I do that, your nut that retains your seatbelt is right here in the center. And for some reason I thought that was, I seem to remember that being a 15. It's actually a 16 on that nut that holds that in place. So I'll go ahead and just start to loosen that up. I guess I should have gone with my electric. I don't know why I didn't. And there we go. Oh, fell down inside. So now let me pull this straight out so you can see what it looks like. So this here is what that looks like, and it's got this tab that sticks out to the side, and that stops up on your seat belt or on your whole bracket here, so that way it keeps it from moving. So once you get that out, what you'll do is you're just going to pull that through the slot that's in your seat belt, or in your trim piece, I'm sorry, and there you go. So you have that part done. Now what you can do, and kind of lay it offward to the side there. By the way, this piece won't come out because your seatbelt goes through it. So what you'll do is, if you look on the back side, if you push on the top part, it pops out like that. And then that way you can kind of set it sideways and feed it through this hole once we get this part done. Now, what we need to do is loosen this up so that we can get it out. And it's very similar to the ones in the back, in that we have one screw down here, and then we have a retaining clip up top. So I'm going to take out that retaining screw and then pull this out a bit. And then, since I'm at that point right now, to make life a little easier, I'm going to go ahead, and what you have to do is feed these through this opening. That's why it has that plate that is removed. And then you can take it through here and get this out of your way. And sometimes this goes really quick for me, and other times you have to kind of wiggle it a bit, and you'll finally get it figured out how to fit through there. There it goes. It's not that bad. So once we do that, that's through there. Now you come down here into this bigger hole on the bottom trim piece, and there you're disconnected. So if you have the power door option, you're going to have that power door button right in here that you would have disconnected the wiring from. So now that we have that done, we can come up here, and it's the same principle as we did in the back, and we're just going to work this top piece out a bit. Normally I'm on the inside of the car pulling out, so it's a little different for me to do it this way. And there we go. And just like in the backs, funny enough, this piece stayed inside the body. So once again, give it a 90-degree turn, and it just comes right out. And then reinstall it back onto your trim piece, and this is done. Now what I like to do, and I did it in the back here, you probably can't see it at this point, but rather than have these seat belts laying around when I'm trying to get the carpet out and whatnot, what I'll do is I'm going to open this back up, and I'm going to get that bolt that was in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this back up on here and do, like, 5 or 6 threads, just kind of hand tighten it a bit. Plus that way too, I have my bolt back in place, so I know exactly where everything goes. And then I'll just kind of push the cover back down again. And now my seat belt's up out of the way for me to work in here. The only other thing you're going to need to do while we're over here and we move on is right up here under your driver's seat, you'll have your rear heat option right here that's coming out. But if you'll go to the left of it, you're going to find another one of those little trees in the floor, and you're going to want to take that out.